Are you experiencing domestic violence and thinking about and contemplating a divorce? Here's how domestic violence can both complicate and make certain aspects of your divorce a little bit simpler if you take the right steps to protect you early on. First, with domestic violence, that can impact the time-sharing plan that is ultimately awarded in your case. The court has to consider best interest factors. Domestic violence that occurs in front of children is one of those factors. And so if there's ever been any kind of physical violence, emotional violence, things of that nature, it can directly impact your child custody and your time-sharing plan in a Florida divorce. A protection order, also known as an injunction, is essentially what it sounds like. It's an order of protection that you can get if you're experiencing or have reason to believe that you're going to be a victim of domestic violence. And it basically specifies, one, that your spouse may not come within a certain area of your property or a certain number of feet within your property. And two, it can also include things like time sharing if you have children, temporary alimony, if you need spousal support. And so there's a wide range of things that can be addressed in an injunction or a protective order to make sure that you're protected while you're going through the process, especially if you're worried about your life or your safety. So for my firm, I actually recommend that my clients get a prenuptial agreement because it governs basically what I call the ground rules for a divorce. You can talk about equitable distribution, alimony, attorney's fees. Basically, any issue besides children's issues can be addressed ahead of time in a prenuptial agreement. So I usually recommend it to anybody who's even thinking about getting married to start having those conversations so you can best protect your assets before you even say I do and sign your name on the marriage license. The biggest way that I see tax implications considered in a Florida divorce is actually pretty basic. It is essentially the child dependency tax credit, which determines who gets to claim their children on taxes each year. That's the biggest way that taxes have an implication for the cases that I see. Usually I advise my clients, if they have tax concerns, to seek out a certified tax expert or their own expert to discuss tax implications of any divorce settlement. A postnuptial agreement functions very similar to a prenuptial agreement in that you are reaching an agreement with your opposing party or your spouse to determine how your divorce should go in the event you ultimately get divorced. Just because you do a postnuptial agreement does not mean you're getting a divorce, but it lays out the ground rules. The key difference is that with a postnuptial agreement, mandatory disclosures are required, meaning you need to exchange all financial documents just to make sure you're being above the board with your disclosures. But otherwise, it functions very similar to a prenuptial agreement.